Hello and welcome to The Last Word on Spurs, your award-winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. We are back, second show of the week, as we look ahead to Nottingham Forest to come in the Premier League for Tottenham. A return to the City Ground, new manager, new pretty much squad as we head back to the City Ground, of course, under Ange Postecoglou. I'm joined by three great returning guests to Last Word on Spurs. One, bless her, on her way as we speak. But joining me as always, I'm joined by my instructor, conductor, the runner of this crazy epic train. It can be Lee McQueen in the house. Lee, how are you, bud?
Yeah, good, mate. Fresh from the weekend. Good show from you lovely lot on Sunday that I listened to, well, in the car on the way home from the ground. Yeah, really good. Excellent performance. I'm sure we'll get into that. So yeah, buzzing, mate, and good to be on with Mitch and your good self and Jess when she arrives.
Absolutely. Now, one man we said there's Lee picked up on who had the pleasure of reviewing that game at the weekend and has come back for some more ahead of, let's be honest, a big week for Tottenham Hotspur, a chance against Forest to get back to winning ways in terms of consecutive winning ways. Mitch Fretton from Live Score is back with us. Mitch, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, it's only been a couple of days, isn't it? And I'm back in the chair. Speaking about Tottenham, it's a good old life sometimes, especially when we're winning. So yeah, you're right. It's a busy and important week for Spurs, and looking forward to talking about the news that has happened in the last couple of days since I was on, and looking forward to the game as well on Friday.
You see what happens, Mitch, of course, when you see in a situation where Spurs win a game, it's a lot easier to come back on for another one. And also delighted to have her back on Last Word on Spurs. Bless her, arriving just in time. Look, it's Radio X's very, very own Radio 1, the brilliant Jess. That is back, Jess. That was almost like a magician chick. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I've just had to decompress a little bit. I have a bit of a breather, but yeah, I'm here. How are we doing?
We're well. How are you? You well?
Yeah, good. You know what? You promised me that this season would be better. So every single time I come back on, it's been good vibes. So
I would love to take the credit for it, Jess, but I think maybe a lot of it deserves with Ange Postecoglou, right? Which I know just at the moment you're absolutely loving. I know, bless you, you are in that stadium for this upcoming weekend, which I know you're buzzing about. I'm going to come on to that later on the show, right?
I'm literally so excited. And I remember actually someone started trolling me the other day about how much I loved Ange. And I was like, you're not going to win this fight, mate. It's fine. They were like a self-confessed Spurs troll. And the thing that they hated the most was how much trust in Ange we had. And I was like, look, again, it's not just the fans. It's other people as well.
Absolutely. Look, the man at the moment, bearing in mind, the only thing I hold against him, as you guys know, will be the Carabao Cup exit. But apart from that, Maka will tell me to get over it, rightly so. There's nothing more I can hold against him. I'm going to give Jess a second, bless her, to get herself together. Whilst we do that, just a reminder here on Last Word on Spurs that we are absolutely delighted to announce our new sponsor for this season in general. If I can bring up the advertisement, which I'll try to do here on this Last Word on Spurs. They are, if I can find the advertisement I'm trying to do, Beer Passport. Now, Beer Passport, let me say a little bit about them. Our new sponsor. Now, look, everybody loves a beer. And if you don't, there's a good chance you know someone who does. Beer Passport, they feature 70 unique tap rooms around London where you can get an exclusive offer at each one you visit, like buy one, get one free. 50% off a flight of beer or even a free pint. You'll be drinking the freshest beers directly from the source and you'll get a stamp at each tap room you visit, just like your own passport. So if you're partial to a pre-match pint, Beer Passport has several local brewery tap rooms near the ground, including Beavertown, Aura, and Redemption breweries. There are also 5 tap rooms on the Black Horse Beer Mile, which is 1 tube stop away, which can make for a great pre-match tap room crawl. Beer Passport is a perfect way for those looking to find somewhere to drink before the match, and for those of you who like to get out afterwards and about also on non-match day. So please head to beerpassport.co.uk and use the code LWSBeer for 20% off a passport. That code again, Beer Passport, LWS for 20% off. And Maka, I'm not going to try and encourage you to try and emphasise how much the drinking culture is around Tottenham on a match day. But you and your time were always partial to a cheeky Beavertown, an Aura, a Redemption brewery. Anything you can recommend out there for viewers, listeners?
There's quite a few. Maybe you have to at me on that. Look, I mean, I think at the end of the day, what you're trying to say, Rick, that when I get my Beer Passport through, it's going to be full very, very quickly. I think that's what you're trying to say, isn't it? I'm going to go back round N17, get it full up, and get my discounts just like the Beer Passport is set up for. So yeah, it's going to be fantastic, mate. Absolutely loving it.
Loving it. Well, guys, listen, we're going to start right at the headline news on this last word on Spurs. And that is news that Destiny Udogie has penned, should I say, a new long-term contract at Tottenham. Really exciting news for the football club. A guy that I know many of us really excited about his way in which he started the season. Lee, we'll come round to you. This news broke to us on Monday, officially announced on the Tuesday. Just how excited are you to see Destiny Udogie sign a new deal at Tottenham Hotspur?
Yeah, mega excited. I mean, you know the love I've got for Destiny. You know I want to dance with a guy. You know I want to win the league with a guy, and like most people do. And it's actually really good news. It was brilliant, actually. Jess has got the away kit on. Last time Jess and I were together, we had the taupe kit. We were taupe twins, Jess. And I was going to put that top on tonight, but it's only because I wore it on the weekend. And had Udogie on the back, and it was quite fitting because he got his first goal, and now we signed a very long-term contract, which is brilliant. I think gives him another 6.5 years at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, which is brilliant. I mean, the guy is not only a powerhouse, he's a very good talent. And people sort of say one for the future, he's one for the now, right? He's absolutely doing it now. I've been so impressed with him since he's come into the Premier League. A lot of people said or wasn't sure. There was a lot of people even on the show that wasn't sure, can he play as a left back? He'd been playing as a wing back. He'd been out on loan and coming back in for the Conte system. And what Ange has done with him and the system he's playing and being completely inverted and at times playing as a number 10, as a number 9, craziness in this setup with Ange ball. I just think he's been absolutely brilliant, mate. And I'm delighted for him, for the club. It's definitely the right decision. Onwards and upwards. Let's hope his form doesn't drop now. He signed a long-term contract. Do you know what I mean? Don't do a tango on us, Destiny. Do you know what I mean? Get what you need and then go and eat the pies.
It is quite exciting, though, because you can see his confidence.
Absolutely. I was just saying there, Jess, and bringing you in there. I mean, like Lee says there, the concern is, giving these guys new long-term contracts. Don't do a Chelsea on us, right? Give them an 8-year contract. None of them perform at all. I mean, the exciting thing about Destiny is, look, from what we understand, it's a significant pay rise. When bearing in mind, Tottenham were trying to tie him down very early on to the season. It's really good news. It comes off the back of, obviously, him scoring at the weekend. Just how exciting, Jess, is that news for the Spurs fan base of Destiny penning that long-term deal and committing his future to the club?
I feel like it was just perfect timing. I feel like maybe he was on the edge for so long. I mean, Lee saw it from the beginning. Lee, I thought of you when he scored that goal. And then when you put up that photo of you with the shirt, I mean, it was just chef's kiss. But I feel like they were sort of deciding. And then literally that was like the cherry on top of the cake. They were like, yep, he's ours. He's smart. He knows where he needs to be. He knows he's the extra player. He knows that he's the one that can actually get the end result. We were all saying, look, you can play well in games. Andrew's saying this, you can play well in games, but unless you get it in the back of the net, you're not going to win the games. And in the Premier League, you can see that anything can happen. And obviously we saw that against Hammers. Like, you can play well all you want, but if you're not putting it away, you're not going to get the results. You're not going to go up the table. And I feel like he saw his chance. He knew exactly where it was going to go. He knows how we like to play. He's clearly done it in training before. And he knows he's going to be the extra man. So I feel like it was a really smart move. He knew what he was doing and he knew he could get back if he needed to.
Mitch, look, we were praising this guy massively at the weekend. And I think, where Spurs are right now, it's such a young time, such an exciting time to be part of this journey. For Destiny, obviously, he quoted on Instagram, home for at least, as we know, another 5-6 years. Just how exciting are you, Mitch, that Spurs have tied down what is arguably such an incredible talent and one that we're going to have for really the peak of his career, fingers crossed?
Yeah, the great thing about him signing that new contract is, I guess it can put us at ease for the next couple of years at least, because if he does come that good, undoubtedly you will get those huge clubs eventually circling and showing an interest like they do for the best players in the world, and he certainly has that ceiling. But with him signing this contract, I think it's to 2029 with an option of a further year, we're able to now demand ridiculous money if a club does come in for him, which suggests that he will certainly be here for the next 3 or 4 years, regardless of what he wants and who maybe does come knocking. But yeah, I mean, we talked about it the other day, didn't we? When he's on it, he's absolutely fantastic. He's still quite a raw player. He still can show, I guess, moments of vulnerability. I think we saw that against West Ham on Thursday with his little bit of a stray pass. But against Newcastle on Sunday, he had an exceptional game, in particular the first half, and he was really deserving of his goal. I mean, we talked about the attributes of a modern fullback today and the positioning that Ange expects his fullbacks to play in, and he's taken to it really nicely and seems to be adapting to a new system in Ange at Spurs and also to a new league. Got to remember, although he's been at the club for a couple of years now, he of course spent last season in Italy still. So to be able to come over to England, playing the best league in the world, adapt straight away and, you know, gain the favour of the manager instantly is really impressive considering his age. And yeah, I hope he stays at the club for a very, very long time. He's an exceptional player.
The interesting thing, Macquarie, about him, obviously, is the fact that when Spurs signed him, it was under a completely different management team. Yep. Obviously, Fabio Paratici deserves much credit for this one. He's doing the work.
He's been cooking, mate, behind the scenes. Don't worry about that.
He's doing the work in the background still for Tottenham, still there somewhere under... it's going to sound for a blanket, but who knows where he is, bless him. Still in and around the gaff somewhere or another. But I thought what was really nice is that Destiny actually admitted recently to a friend of the show, Charlie Eccleshare, in an interview, just how much Postecoglou valued him from day one. He said, look, he called me into his office. He spoke with me and said, I'm going to be a key player for him. He explained what he wanted from me. I know that I had the trust of the head coach was a big motivation. I think that definitely is one of Ange's skills that we see so far, that communication, that man management. How great is that for him, Lee? The fact that, look, he was signed by somebody else and just come in and already just told him from day one, you're my man.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive. And you can see he's done that with Sarr as well. I mean, the way Sarr's come back into the side against Newcastle and, you know, just almost freed up Basuma to get back to some of his 1-2 touch brilliance, you know, and Sarr's only 21 as well. You know, Destiny's, I just put in a chat, Destiny's only 21, as Mitch alluded to as well, in terms of his age. And King Hoddle just mentioned, you know, the mistakes will be ironed out with experience. I mean, he's 21. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So I love Ange. We all love Ange. We're still loving Ange, and everything he does seems to be, you know, what I loved about Ange's most recent interviews when he talked about change means change. Like, he's not coming in to change it for 5 minutes, get a bit of peer pressure and go back to sitting on the edge of our own box with Davis and Royal in defence. He's talking about change in the lot. And I absolutely love it. And that comes to the same scenario with Destiny, pulling him in the office and saying, you are going to be a key player for me. That gives you massive confidence. A brand new manager coming in, he's changing everything. And he's got a 20-year-old at the time saying, you're going to be my boy. You are my man. That's what I got him on my shirt, mate, because Udogie is the boy. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, it's absolutely it's brilliant. And I think that, you know, long may it continue. Hopefully he doesn't get booked. This is the thing. Both him and Romero now, or Romero again, on one more yellow card, and they both get suspended again. I think they've got until, Mitch probably knows this better than me, until mid-January or something like that, at least until the new year. So let's see what happens there. But yeah, absolutely delighted for him. Fully deserved Destiny. And yeah, let's hope we can live up to the song and we can win the league with you, mate.
Can I just add to what you were saying about that conversation about bringing him in? So his age being 21 and then bringing him in and having that confidence in him from someone like Ange, who is loved so universally, or like has demanded so much respect. If you watch any documentary on any high achiever, regardless of whether it's sport, music, or, you know, and like acting, whatever it is, they remember those conversations for the rest of their lives. Those are like the important career defining moments. So I'm just kind of hoping that that's the kind of confidence that Ange is instilling in the sort of younger team players, and they all have each other as well, which is obviously quite nice. And then you've got the more, like, the slightly older, more experienced players who they respect so much. It's like a really nice like formation that he's got going on.
What's nice about that, just on that as well, what's nice about that, we talk about the younger players, but even Sonny as 31, by the way, I'm just putting that out there, 31 is not old either, just saying.
Good.
But you know, 31, as a 31-year-old player, he's saying that he's learning stuff and thinking differently to the way Ange has come in. Do you know what I mean? And we would all look at Sonny as a veteran, you know, in football terms. So I just think I think you're bang on the money. And I think, you know, when anybody of any sort kind of gives you that advice or gives you that confidence, that trust. That's it's massive, and I think it'll be huge for him moving forward and the rest of the players.
Just to pick up on what Jess is saying there, which is really interesting about the fact that the young players and coming through, I think there's been a point that's been made now since Andrew's come through the door. There's been a real focus on the under-18s, the under-19s, and now the first team to all try and symmetry play the same way. And that's why you are seeing the likes of Donnelly getting his opportunity. Dorrington will probably in the next few weeks, depending on our injury circumstances. And it relates back to what Jess says there, which is key, is that when you do it from the academy up now, there's a structure running through the whole club. But this is the way we play. This is the philosophy we're trying to build. And ultimately, it makes for the fact that it's such a more harmonious group now that we're not in a situation where the players are almost, as we saw the under-18s and 19s last year, not all of them, but some being described as almost there for mannequins, as Conte tried to use them to his advantage when it came to pre-game.
He'd say mannequins, didn't he? He's like, yeah, you just stand there, don't move. Let's see if...
This was after Macca's.
Imagine what that does to you. Imagine what that does to you. You'd freeze...
Absolutely. And that's after as well, Jess, the fact that, a lot of these players had played, a game for the youth, for the reserves, and then being called up to then become a mannequin. I just thought that was absolutely insane, right?
Yeah, no, ridiculous. And also you just kind of learn that even if it's subconscious, you learn that that's not what anyone on the team wants. That's not what the goal of the manager wants. That's not what anyone wants. So you just think, right, unless I do what I'm told and I just act like a decoy or a mannequin, like you said, or just get it to the core players. I remember I had a coach once when I was playing hockey first team, and I was like, I'd just been brought up and I was very inexperienced and I didn't know what I was doing. And he called the three main people the core players. And I was like, well, I don't want to play for you anymore. Like, it makes you not want to play. It makes you think that
demotivating, right? Demotivating.
You just think, yeah, I'm just gonna fine. And then that will be on them and it's not on me anymore. Yeah. And so, yeah, I don't know. I feel like what we've got now is so much better. And also the fact that if you're an academy player and you know that you do have a chance, imagine how hungry you'd be to do better and impress Ange and get on with the rest of the team. I think the culture is just so much better.
I think that's what you're key saying there. I mean, the thing is now, just it feels like coming to you, Mitch, is a real pathway for players to break through. And on that point, Destiny said, upon signing that deal, from the first day I came here, I felt at home with the players, the coaching staff, the whole club. I feel so welcome. I'm happy to be here. It's the way that everyone at the club respects you, how the club shows love to the players and everyone. From the first day, I had only one objective: to play well and help the team. I'm trying to learn as much as I can every day in training with the staff and the team. I think every day it's getting better. I'm really happy in this position. I'm trying to do my best. It's a big journey. I have to stay focused, work hard, keep working, and bring results. We talk about a pathway and contracts, Mitch, just to come over to you. Looking at the contract situation now to 2024, we've got Lloris, Perisic, and Dyer. When we look at the 2025 in terms of expiration dates, we've got Sonny, Tungi, Giovanni Lo Celso, Cesc, Tanganga, Højbjerg, Roden, Reguilon, Davis, Parrott, Forster. 2026, we've got Bentancur, Hill, Royale, Basuma. Going to 2027, we've got Romero, Richie, Sarr, Spence, Skip, Devine, and Dane Scarlett. And then to 2028, those long-term deals, we've got Madison, Porro, Solomon, Kulusevski, Vicario, and Phillips. And then to 2029 now, Udogie obviously signed. We've got Johnson, Villiers, and Van der Ven. So I want to say, as a whole, I think the only concerns we may have there, come over to you, Mitch, is maybe Sonny. He may have his contract looked at next. You could argue maybe saying Lo Celso, depending how he, of course, performs recently and continues that. And, I mean, I think the one that we want to keep an eye on is Pat Matassar. I think he looks like the one that may be next in line, given the fact that when he signed, it may have only been a real, you'd say, nominal wage. And I put that in the brackets of footballing terms rather than worldwide terms, just to be clear. That's why maybe, Mitch, he may be the next on the list.
Yeah, I think he's following a similar trajectory to Udogie, isn't he, really, where he's sort of broken into the first team this year and he looks like a key player for us. I said to you on Sunday that I thought Papsar made the difference for us in the midfield against Newcastle and we looked a completely different team and a more attacking team with him in that midfield. So, I don't think there'll be a single Spurs fan out there that would disagree and say that he's not deserving of a new deal and a bump in wage and a few extra years on his contract, similar to Udogie, which is really good. But that list, I meant to have a look at it because I saw someone put it out on Twitter early on contract dates and expiries, and it's really crazy because obviously we're undergoing this absolutely huge project under Ange. You know, we had a sort of complete reset over the summer, sold our greatest goal scorer, you know, completely cleaned out that toxic sort of atmosphere inside the club. And then when you actually look at what we've got left at the club, that's probably the big pressing issue, you know, that bit of dead wood that we probably still need to move on. But when you go through some of those names you just said, particularly in 2024 and 2025, there's probably only 2 or 3 players in that entire list that you would want to consider giving a new contract. Obviously, Sonny, as you mentioned, Lo Celso as depending on how he performed. But, you know, the likes of Dyer and Perisic, their time's probably up. And, you know, Højbjerg and Ndombele and Sessegnon and Tanganga, they're probably all players that, you know, have had their chances at the club now. And in my opinion, shouldn't really be getting offered a new deal unless they have a complete change in their arc and their story at the club and find themselves as a really key part of the squad again. I'm not sure that's going to happen. So, you know, by the time next summer rolls around, obviously you want to tie Sonny down. I think that's a no-brainer. Face of the club these days, captain. Yep. Huge, still excellent, still world class. But then when we get to the summer of 2025, we could find ourselves losing, if they're not sold before that, you know, 5, 6, 7 players that are due to expire in their contracts. And that is probably going to make for a very interesting summer, because naturally a lot of them are going to need replacing. And fingers crossed Ange is still at the club in, you know, 2 years' time or a year and a half time. And
please don't jinx us.
I'm trying not to. I got a wooden desk that I'm on, so I've touched wood there. But he will then be able to really put his stamp on this squad. And I know it's a little while away yet, but it just sort of highlights what an exciting period of time we're in, and it just makes us realise that we're only at the start of the journey under Ange.
I think it's the key, isn't it? I mean, Bobby says there, friend of the show, the fact that you look at players like Udogie, Sarr, would these players be anywhere near that first team squad had we not had the change of manager? I think the great thing, and it touches back to what Jess said earlier, the fact you've got a manager now there that is intent on giving players an opportunity, players a chance. And as I said earlier, I think the likes of Dorrington, Donnelly, these guys will feature at some point in the first team. And that's because there's a manager now that really honestly trusts them, gives everybody a chance. And I think the great thing about Tottenham now in general is that players can now see that pathway again. I feel that the last 4 or 5 years, apart from when obviously that man was in charge down the road at Stamford Bridge, who you shall not be named for now, there's a real genuine now feeling that at Spurs you will get an opportunity. So I think that is the excitement. What we are going to do, we are going to go for our first break of the show for our listeners on audio. Taking you into that break for our listeners on audio, you're going to hear from Tottenham Hotspur's new man, signed down long-term lockdown, Destiny Udogie. Right, guys, we're going to turn our attention to where Spurs are in terms of the league at the moment. And before I do, look, it's been the talk of the previous show, talk of the week so far about Cristian Romero. And it wouldn't be fair. Mitch had his say, of course, at the weekend. We can find out if Mitch has changed his mind, what our feelings are on Cristian Romero, and if we still are firmly in the camp that this man is absolutely invaluable to Tottenham, despite the nature of Lee. That return in the week we saw, of course, the weekend you were there, Romero could have actually seen red again. Obviously, in that last 10, 15 minutes, a game that Spurs against Newcastle, I won't say often, they were cruising, really. Romero decided to lunge in. Now, it's worth me saying that had Romero received the red in that game against Newcastle, it would have led to a 4-game ban. So I'm really intrigued to know, Lee, from your perspective with Romero, is this a discipline issue? Is this the fact that, look, he's a guy that will do this from time to time and we've got to back him? I mean, Emi Martinez warned him in the World Cup period and said to him, look, if you do that, you're going to get a slap. And Lee is pointing, can I just say, for our listeners on audio, to the blue book, which means let's go to the McQueen headquarters.
It's coming, the blue book. Look, I mean, a quick sell Romero. I mean, I absolutely love the bloke. He's not behind me at the moment because I didn't change my picture in time, to be fair. But I have got a frame Romero shirt. I absolutely love him. I think that he does need to learn. I think that we just talked about Sarr and Udogie, you know, their age. Romero's a little bit older. He's not much older. He's 25, right? But he's starting to become into his prime, isn't he, of football. He's a World Cup winner. Sorry, you know, he should be mature enough now. He's such a massive player for us that we need him to stay on a pitch. Now, at the end of the day, I do get it, and like one of our own, big love to Jason, obviously of Jason McGovern of the show. He always talks about the fact that he's brainless and he needs to get a brain in his head because we're going to lose him. And actually, if he did get sent off, and he still might, let's be honest, still might get sent off next game, he's going to miss, as you just said, 4 games. That would be basically 7 games missed through suspension in a season season so far that we've only played 16. I mean, you can't have that. That's absolutely ridiculous. So something needs to change. But what I would say about Romero in the side, here comes the blue book, is that I've got loads of stats on this. We'll get into it a bit later on as well. But just from the conceding goals, in the first 10 games that we played in the Premier League this year, we conceded 0.9 goals per game. Okay. In the 6 games that we've had since the Chelsea game, obviously without Romero for a large part of that, we've conceded 2.3 goals per game. I mean, that's absolutely astonishing. You look at taking out Van der Ven and Romero. Now, the thing is, I know we conceded 2 against West Ham. When you look at them back, they were so fluky as well. It's just classic pinball, classic Spurs, bad luck, whatever. But Romero is so aggressive. I know we all know he's aggressive, but he's so aggressive in the press. He's so aggressive when he comes out with the ball. He's so front foot when he pushes the ball forward. He moves the team up as a unit. You see what I'm coming from? And we just don't have that with another centre-back, even with Van der Ven. Van der Ven's got the pace to get back. Mind you, Davis had the pace to get back the other day, didn't he? Come on, Benny boy. You go and have a look at X, people, and you start retweeting my Benny boy tweets. Yeah, I'm loving it, mate. But no, all jokes aside, before I get the people telling me that I'm a prawn sandwich brigade because I praised Ben Davis for 1 game. I mean, Jesus, you do know I sit in the South Stand, people. Come on, talk to me. So yeah, I mean, Romero being as part of this team, there's no doubt we are miles better with him in the team. The problem is, as you said, is if he gets suspended, then you don't have him in the team, do you? So it becomes a major issue. So he's absolutely a stalwart for me. He absolutely needs to stay there. What I would say, just quickly, on the whole red card situation, the hothead situation, whatever, regardless of age and where we're at, we've had a lot of players in the Premier League like this, a lot. Dele Alli, when he first came, he was punching people in the stomach for crying out loud. Like, you need to sort that out. Do you remember that? Yeah. Wayne Rooney for Everton and then Man United is getting sent off a lot. There was a lot of sendings off from these players that were playing at a real high level club. And I think once I don't want to use the word tame it because I think you lose something with Romero if you tame him. Yeah. But he needs to mature. I'm going to just say that. Like he's 25. He's got a family. He's a World Cup winner. He should be mature enough at that age to recognise you should not be going in on a 2 foot to smash Callum Wilson's ankle when we're 3-0 up and you can get a 4-game ban. You've got to have enough intelligence about it to know that. So that's what I would say. But look, the stats back it up, mate. Without Romero, we are conceding way too many goals. I know Van der Ven's missing as well. And when he's in the side, we just look better all over the pitch because of his position that he plays.
It's interesting, Jess, isn't it? I think that's a lot that's been picked up on the fact that if Romero has got Van der Ven next to him, he's not doing outlandish stuff like that. And I think the key, again, when you look back at Spurs' starts of the season, I think if you look at the first 6 games between them, it was evident there was only I think it was 1 or 2 fouls at the very, very most. I mean, there was a period at the start where they didn't make a foul between them. Do you think that is the key, Jess? When Van der Ven is back alongside him, Romero doesn't feel the need to have to make or try to get the ball in these really dangerous positions that are really unnecessary to do so.
Yeah, I genuinely do. I've thought about this quite a lot because there's a lot of different people when you're on a pitch, regardless of sport. And there are some people who are really aggressive and that's their game. And that it just is. You're not going to beat it out them. They might get a bit older and, like you say, mature or, just get a bit older and think it's not worth it anymore. But realistically, he's not going to feel bad for it. You could tell he didn't when he was banned because, yeah, he was there on the sideline and, yeah, he was watching. But going in his brain was not, I feel any remorse for this. He was saying, I want to be on that pitch because I would have had him. And I think the thing that Van der Ven does is I think he does calm him down because I think Romero respects him. I think he respects that Van der Ven will get back and stop that ball. So he doesn't have to go for these mad tackles. At the moment, you've got Romero without Van der Ven. whoever is with him is filling in, I think, in Romero's eyes. And I think he doesn't respect that they're going to make the necessary moves to stop this player. I also think, additionally, I remember seeing some messages being like, oh, I hope Callum Wilson's playing against Romero because Callum Wilson's a wind-up. He's going to wind him up and he's going to get him sent off. Sure enough, Callum Wilson comes on with hardly any of the game left, and Romero's already doing the most stupid tackle on someone who's already on the floor. Why? I can imagine Callum was in his ear. I can imagine Callum was doing those little smiles, those little cheeky, like, I'm a good lad, when really he's not. And I mean, it's wound Vicario up even, who's like, again, one of our best players on the pitch. And I just think you need to have people that Romero respects on the pitch, because otherwise he's going to do his absolute utmost to wipe that person out, regardless of who it is. And I just think that's it. Personally, I think you're not going to be out of him until he's about probably 29, 30. He's still going to be doing that until he has someone else with him being like, all right, I've got your back, mate. And that's Van de Ven at the moment.
I think it's so key. I think, again, we underplay the fact, or I don't think downplay the fact. I think we all realise and recognise just not having Van de Ven there. I mean, out of the two, I think his pace, like you said, Jess, has got us out of so much trouble in those early games. It allowed also the fact that we could play Postecoglou style without any real fear or concern about that backline, because naturally, with Van de Ven there, it would allow us to be a lot more forward-facing, front-facing, and be able to take that forward line even further up with the loss of him. I think there is a general concern, like we saw against Wolves as Maka was on that show, that we were dropping back and back and back, and that is unfortunately because we didn't have the likes of Romero or Van de Ven there in place. Now, Mitch, we got your opinion, of course, on it on the weekend show, and it's, again, when we record heat at the moment like that, we don't get really enough time to focus on really why the referee made his decision. Now, look, we understand, according to FA rules, a tackle or change that endangers the safety of an opponent or uses excessive force or brutality must be sanctioned as serious field play. Any player who lunges at an opponent in challenging for the ball from the front, from the side, or from behind using one or both legs with excessive force or endangers the safety of an opponent is guilty of serious foul play. I think when you read that description there from the FA, that is why there's uproar as to why Romero didn't see a card. Now, interestingly, Dermot Gallagher, Dermot Gallagher was on the Sky panel on the Monday for the Ref Watch, where he seemed to have a feeling that it was more the media pushing for the red card rather than actually the referee position on it. Now, VAR didn't deem the Romero challenge worthy of a red this time around. Mitch, have we got away with one here? Or do you think, in hindsight, look, with all the luck we've had this season with refereeing decisions and suspensions, we've been owed this one?
Wow, you've hit me with the law, Ricky. I don't like it when you hit me with the law because it doesn't suit my agenda.
That doesn't happen on this show. Can I tell you that often? Don't bring the law into it on this show.
Yeah, my opinion on Sunday was that I don't think we could have complained if he was sent off. I don't think my opinion's changed in that regard. However, I upon first look and when I was watching the game live, I said to the people I was watching with, I don't think that's a red card personally, but everybody's opinion is very different on that. And we've seen red cards for a lot less than that this season. So I can understand it from that point of view as to why people were so angry about it. In regards to your point about the media, I think that's the bigger issue. And I put a tweet out about it and I deleted it because, you get fans of rival clubs coming into the comments and being weirdos and turning nasty because I don't like your opinion on something. But it's just, I dislike it. And I think that it's misleading when someone like Romero, who's got a reputation for being aggressive and a bit reckless sometimes, any tackle that is sort of on the edge, when it goes in, you've got Gary Neville on comms going, oh, that's really silly. He should be sent. That's a red card for me. Or what's he doing? Comments like that. And it really doesn't help. And whether they have, I know they've got 1,000,001 TVs in the VAR room, whether they actually have a Sky Sports broadcast in there playing live to them during the game, I don't know. But I think that it shouldn't be that way. I think that, the more that you push this through the media, then the more things, the more of a mess things become, because everything's so, I guess, it's so opinionated and no one really knows the specifics of the law. And the way you read it to me there, I guess, would suggest that it probably should have been a red card if I had to go by the description that you gave me. But I feel like he caught him on the top of the foot. And yes, it could have ended up being worse, but I don't personally think that it was that bad of a tackle. And, I stand by the fact that if he had been sent off, I wouldn't have been sort of sitting there going, oh, that's never a red card because, like I said, you've seen things given for less. But I'm not going to change my opinion on it. And I've said it before, I absolutely adore QT Romero. And I think he's brilliant. And I think we need players like that in the squad. But I do agree with the previous points that perhaps with Van der Ven next to him or someone that he can trust completely and rely on, maybe he is a bit calmer. And I do just think he needs to perhaps take a step back and remember that he is now one of the vice captains of this club and he needs to lead by example, because Lee's point that he made is what really shocked me. If he would have been sent off, another 4-game ban, missing 7 games through suspension, regardless as to what the challenges are, that's unacceptable. So, he needs to be careful. And with the yellow cards as well, I mean, he's got to get through, I think it's 19 games the yellow card gets reset after. So he's got to get through 3 more. I'm not sure whether he's going to do that. Fingers crossed. But, I love the play.
Just to add on that, I mean, I can totally agree with the whole panel, Wick, and your. I know you want obviously more pragmatic defending, don't you, Rick?
I'll get me bloody started.
You'd probably sell Romero and get Eric Dyer back. You know what I mean?
I'm not that bloody desperate for pragmatic. I'm not that bloody desperate for pragmatic football.
I'm not going there. But actually, if you look back, coming back out again, Blue Book done a load of stats. The first 10 games. Yeah, of the, when we were flying high and, unbeaten, 1-8, drawn 2, I don't even think he committed a foul for the first 5 or 6. I know he didn't even get booked. I think his first booking was for maybe the handball or the penalty against Arsenal. I think. I might be wrong. But I know he went 4 or 5 games, so he didn't even make a foul. So it's like backing up Jess's point about the Van der Ven thing and being them two together, they just completely clicked. But you're just not going to take it out of his game. You didn't take it out of Rooney. Look at Rooney's goal. I want to say Rooney, right? Rooney's goal against Newcastle. Everyone must remember that. I don't need to describe it, surely. Everyone must remember what I'm talking about. Yep. He gets fouled and he's freaking angry and he gets up, he's rah, like that. And then he just puts the ball down and pings it and he scores straight away. That's the sort of anger and energy, whatever you want to call it, that Romero's got in him as well. Do you know what I mean? To go in hard, because we've been so soft. I'm not saying he's right. Obviously, I don't want him to get sent off, but as a team in the past, we've had such a soft underbelly.
I totally agree.
Somebody to go in and have some of that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying take people out. I'm not saying that, team, so please don't think I am. But you've got to have some sort of, you ain't coming past me, fella. I tell you that now. You ain't getting past me. And that's what he's got, but he just needs to control it.
Yeah. It adds a bit of grit to our game as well. Someone else asked a couple of times if I wanted him to calm down. I don't want him to calm down, no. Because, what better defender do you have when there's only a handful of other players who would ever dare try and do anything against him? Because, I don't know, he's a big guy. He's scary and he'll go for you. So, you can't. There will be loads of young players who wouldn't even dream. They'd probably pack their pants and then, I don't know, lose it. But, the point is, I don't want him to calm down. I just don't want him to not play.
Even slid tackle, even 2-footed challenges toddler. Did you see that? Like last season or whatever, he was playing with his son at home and he banged straight in. The toddler's gone flying. You're like, mate, it's just in him. It's just
no holds barred. No holds barred.
He's one of them guys, isn't he? When his teammates score, he goes up to him, smashes him on the back of the head and stuff. It's just the way he is.
I mean, bear in mind orange record. Go on, mate.
Sorry, I was just going. Did you see his celebration for the West Ham goal where he jumped up with Pedro Porro and sent him absolutely flying? He literally fell over backwards. It's just him all over, isn't it?
He's a character. He is a character. He is. Look, we need him. Hopefully, like I say, he can maintain, some kind of form now. We avoid that ban. And look at that form and what's coming up for Tottenham right now. Spurs at the moment, as we know, in the Premier League, before we look ahead to Forest, they're currently sitting, of course, 5th in the Premier League, 30 points from our friends over at Spurs Global there in terms of this illustration for us. Spurs have Forest, of course, to come on Friday. Then after Everton at home, Brighton away, before, of course, New Year's Eve, they've got Bournemouth at home. I think, you look at that table at the moment for Tottenham. The fact of the matter is they're 3 points ahead of Man United, 3 points behind City, only 7 points off the top. I just wonder, Jess, for you, I know the last time we had you on, Spurs were riding high. They were flying top. It's fair to say that things have almost calmed down a little bit for Tottenham. They're still in firmly a race for the top 4. What do you think is achievable now, Jess, for you, given this difficult run we've had with injuries, suspensions? Anything changed in your mind, Jess, about what Spurs can do this season?
I think we're settling. I think if you'd have said when Ange was taking over that we would win all those first games and then lose a couple and then now we'd be sitting at 5. And if you said, would you rather win some, lose some, or would you rather break records, get Ange, get people on side, win that morale and win loads of games at the beginning? What would you rather? I would rather be riding high and then settle sort of somewhere here. But I think we're showing what is possible. And I think that we need to remind everyone that we lost Harry Kane just before the season started, and we basically are still rebuilding, and we've got a whole bunch of players who are playing a whole new style of football. And the point is that we're enjoying it. I don't like how fickle people are when we lose a game. You can be disappointed, you can be frustrated, but when people turn on Ange and the team just because of losing XYZ games, people say it's excuses about us moaning about injuries. But I think the best possible excuse for a team not to be doing very well is to have a massacre of injuries, right? It's better than blaming other teams, blaming rubbish reffing, blaming VAR, blaming I don't know, people having down days or whatever. We had a whole massacre of our team in one game. And then after that, Ange had to do his absolute best to work out what was going to be the best method of going forward. And actually, he's managed to do that with no extra team players. And I think, if anything, that's actually such a legit excuse for us not to be losing a couple points. And the fact that we held up teams like Man City, I mean, obviously it's disappointing against Hammers, but the first half was really, really good, really promising. We didn't get the goals, but I don't know, it's exciting. It's good to watch. As a fan, I back them through loss and through winning. And I know some people didn't like my comments about that on Twitter, but whatever. I feel like this is the game, isn't it? What, are you only going to be happy if we literally come top? I mean, as a Spurs fan, when were you last happy?
Yeah, it's very, very true. I mean, I think, again, you look at that fact, Jess, again, I think we all, going into the season, being honest with you, I think we all felt it was going to be a transitional season. I think anyone said after 10 games, Spurs would have been top and unbeaten. I don't think any of us would have believed that. So I think, again, we've had those expectations raised because of the start we've made. I'm saving Mitch for the Forest preview because Mitch very kindly gave us his view in terms of where Spurs are table-wise. So, Macca, I'm going to come to you. Then we're going to go to Forest. Lee, when we look at that table there, Spurs, 5th in the league, as I mentioned there, 7 points off the top, 6 points off of Arsenal, 3 points behind City in 4th. Villa riding high there in 3rd, we know, on 35 points. We've got a 3-point cushion to Man United. They come, as we know, in January in terms of who we're going to face. There's a little bit of a gap now formed between us and Newcastle in 7th. There's a 4-point gap there. Lee, anything changed in your mind in terms of what's achievable so far, given what we've gone through these last few weeks with the injuries and the suspensions?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I've flying the blue book around a bit today for the listeners on audio, so I do some stats. But I said before ball was kicked this season that we'd finish in the top 5. We're sitting in the top 5. I actually changed my prediction after our brilliant start and said I think we're getting the top 3. I actually still think we're getting the top 3, but I'm quite deluded. So that's cool. If you want to go on the deluded side, come with me. But I'm going with top 3 still. When you look at some of the facts, what I've learned over these last 16 games is anything can happen in football. And actually, even though 10 games in, we're top of the league unbeaten, you can then go for the next 6 games and only get 4 points. And it's absolutely astonishing that the last 6 games we have only got 4 points, and yet we are still 5th. It's astonishing. It's absolutely astonishing. So how anyone can be down on it, disappointing. I was gutted for the West Ham result. I was gutted. But I'm going to give you some stats now that are going to blow you lot away because you will not believe this, right? And I've done this myself in meticulous detail over the last couple of evenings, right? In the first 10 games on average, in our first 10 games in the Premier League, we had 18 shots at goal. How many shots at goal do you think we've had in the 6 games since the decimation at Chelsea? Don't bother guessing because it takes too long. 15 shots. So we are only on average 3 shots down, right, on goal. So bearing in mind, though, this total decimation, that we're absolute rubbish, we're going to struggle, we're awful, only 3 shots. On target, we had 6.2 shots on target for the first 10 games. Yeah? Guess, I'm going to get you to guess now. Guess how many we've had on target, on average, in the decimation 6 games.
On average, across the games.
On average, decimation, absolute decimation squad. No Maddison, no creativity, no lock picker. How many do you think? 6.2 in the first 10. In the last 6, what do you think?
I think it's higher. I want to say 8.
7.
That's not bad,
On
is it?
average, 7. It's higher. It is higher than when we had our fully fit squad out. Possession, it's virtually the same. 62% versus 56%. Passes, only 30 passes different. 30 passes. So people, and this is what I was trying to explain to everybody before, and I was getting loads of pelters. Perception is the reality. Sorry, one sec, right? The reality is we're not that much different in our passing accuracy, in the amount of passes we're doing, the amount of shots on target, the possession that we've got. Where we've really fallen down, which I said right at the beginning of the show, is conceding goals and not scoring enough. We went from scoring 2.2 goals per game to less than 2 a game. And now we're conceding over 2 goals per game, 2.3 in fact. And that's been the key difference. So the perception of us being totally rubbish and totally, it gets in your head. We start to believe, and that's why I believe, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, that's why we lost against Wolves. We lost against Wolves because everyone was saying we are going to struggle without all these players. So we went in that game. Guess what we did? We struggled. It was our worst performance. We only had 4 shots at goal and only 1 on target 2 on target during Wolves. That was it. And that's why that's why we've struggled during that period. So sorry, just bringing you in. But yeah, do you see what I'm saying? I'm on my stat pack. That's my stat pack.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if you had who was having those shots, because I don't know, someone has put in the comments being like Johnson, Richie and Decky need to contribute to the goals. But I feel like it's coming. I feel like Brennan Johnson is at that level. Do you remember when Porro first started and he was like finding his feet and everyone was like, oh, we're not sure he's all he's cracked out to be. Look at him now. And like Brennan's already, I don't know, he's already getting there. And I feel like he's going to come out of his shell when it comes to Forest. I think that he's going to like have that extra, like, I need to get this.
I didn't do the shots, but I did the opposite. I did the negative, right, to show where we were conceding. So I actually went back and watched every single goal that we've conceded, in the Premier League this year. Sorry to hog the airtime, I don't mean to, but I just find this fascinating. This stuff for me is really fascinating. So against Brentford, we had Son gave away a penalty, right? So it's a mistake. Son gave away a penalty. And VDV, if you remember, he got nutmegged. Right, it went right under his leg. He should have got a leg. He was unlucky, but he should have got a leg to it. He didn't went under his leg. He probably don't even remember. But the point I'm making is that was 2-2, that game. And we had 2 mistakes from our players. And I'm not having a go at VDV. It's his first ever game for the club, for crying out loud. They've only been at the club for about 10 minutes, but ultimately a mistake, right? Against Burnley, we let in 2 goals. Porro gets completely done on the outside by their winger. Absolutely rinsed, he did. And I'm not having a go at Porro. He's been brilliant. But back then, he weren't very good defensively right at the beginning. Yeah. And this is what I'm saying about growth and learn. Now, Andrew's had them a while. Porro's brilliant. People don't get past him. Although against Crystal Palace, Porro missed the header for Ayew to score that ridiculous volley that should have been handball that he did score. So again, it's another mistake, in my opinion. Arsenal, own goal and a penalty. I mean, you could not make this stuff up. If you go, do you want me to keep going? Against Sheffield United, we gave away a goal from a long throw-in that we did not deal with, a long throw-in. So this is why I'm not having a go, by the way. It's the complete opposite. This is silly mistakes that I know they will get rid of. This is why I'm really optimistic about how we can. These are little mistakes that we can get rid of. Chelsea, the first goal, Romero, before the Romero absolute farce, he kicks the ball directly to Casado. And Caicedo just puts it straight back in the box, and then carnage happens. He fouls, gets red card, whatever, penalty, and then the rest is history in that game. Wolves, Dyer kicks the ball straight out of play. Like literally just straight up, comes back at you. Højbjerg not tracking his runner. I mean, these are just simple mistakes. The reason why I'm passionate about it is because I know these will get out of our game. They will get rid of our game. You know, there's a lot of it. City own goal against City. Son scores an own goal. Right, you with me? Davis drops in way too late. No one else goes with him. It's just a tap in for Phil Foden. West Ham, Romero, the ball bounces off him like, you know, pinball. And do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, these are the mistakes. And in Newcastle, I'm sure Mitch and the team that you had on the weekend, wasn't it? Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I mean, just literally just gives the ball away. Basuma, the third goal for City, gives the ball away. So these are silly mistakes that I do think in the end will be ironed out with this team, the way we're playing, the way we are. But I just thought it was fascinating. Sorry to waffle on for so long. The other key last stat, the passing accuracy in the team for the first 10 games, 87%. And in the last 6 games where we've been completely decimated, 86%. So nothing's dropped off in terms of that. It'll come from Rick. So
absolutely.
People believe what they want to believe, but that's the facts. The facts are we got 26 points in the first 10 games. We only got 4 in the last 6, and there's your drop off.
Yep, there's no doubt. Incredible stats. What we are going to do, we are going to go for our final break of this show for our listeners on audio. When you come back, we're probably here for the Everton game, aren't we, on the back of that? Forest, you're going to hear from the great Greg from the Garibaldi podcast. We love a stat on this show. We love a stat. Right, Mitch, we're going to start with you. We know we've got a 7-minute window here with Mitch. We might lose Mitch after 7. We're going to squeeze Mitch in on the preview for Forest. Look, big game for Tottenham, Mitch. Of course, Nottingham Forest. It won't be an easy place to go. I must add the point that Forest under real pressure. Well, Steve Cooper being under real pressure at Nottingham Forest. Many saying this could be the game that could potentially save his job, depending on how that result goes. It looked really at the end of last week on the back of that horrendous defeat they took. I want to say, I believe it was to Fulham. It was a really heavy defeat for Forest. It looked like he was going to lose his job. Look, he got a point against Wolves, a big result for Steve Cooper. Needed to get something, he did. Mitch, an opportunity for Tottenham, you feel. If Spurs, I feel, get the first goal against Forest, I think this could be a really good evening for Tottenham. How do you see it with you, Mitch, going into Forest on Friday?
Yeah, I think it's a weird one because I think we're probably going to see a similar performance from Nottingham Forest that West Ham put in last week. I know they're at home, but I think Steve Cooper's a smart enough man to set his side up according to his opponent, and he will be well aware of how Spurs want to dominate the ball and dominate the attacking phases. And I think he will it might actually suit Forest to sort of maybe sit in and hit us on the counter attack. You know, they've got those sort of players, Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, Morgan Gibbs-White. They've got some really top talents in that squad. And yeah, it's just it worries me a little bit that it is quite a big game for Steve Cooper in terms of trying to save his job. You know, I feel like big things in the Premier League always happen at Tottenham's expense, and this could well be another one. I guess another thing is as well that Forest's home form is much better than their away form. They've picked up a lot of points at home and put in some really good performances against top 6 clubs at home. So yeah, factor that in with the fact that it's a Friday night under the lights, everyone been out drinking in the evening, making their way to the Forest game. It's not going to be an easy one. But as you said, if we go 1-0 up, it could hopefully go in our favour. I think, you know, the more open the game is, the better for us. So if we can go and grab that first goal and sort of settle down a little bit, and I think we're more than capable of picking up 3 points. I think everyone will say that and agree with it. But whether we actually do or not, I don't know. But hopefully we do that. Nothing silly from Romero. You know, hopefully Pap Sarr's back in again in the starting 11. He's come through all right, and a few other players. It's not. I guess I was about to say we've not had that much of a rest, but we've still had sort of like 5-6 days, haven't we? So it's enough, isn't it? Considering we're not playing midweek this week in Europa or Champions League. So yeah, I'm confident enough after what I saw on Sunday, but let's see.
Let's hope it's a bloody cup run, Mitch, coming. I can't take the fact that we've got this one game a week. You know, I've been turbocharged on Last One on Spurs the last 5, 6, 7 years of doing 2 shows a week, having Mac with me twice a week. And the fact that there's no bloody Europe is really, like I say, been a difficult one. But look, we've got the FA Cup to come. Hopefully, we'll take it seriously. Mitch, I know we're pushed for time with you personally, so just give us an opportunity. Where can we find the wonderful work you do? And also give us a prediction for Forest to come.
Yeah, so just over on what do they call it now? X, formerly Twitter, I think is what official publications call it these days. Just have Mitch Fretton over there for my waffle and chat about Spurs. I put the occasional articles from Live Score on there as well. And prediction, I think it's going to be a Friday night thriller, and I'm going to go 3-2 Spurs.
I like that, Mitch. I like that, mate. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much,
Not
mate.
bad,
Look, not bad. Look, and for those that say I can't do a show on an hour mark for somebody, there's your proof I bloody can, right? There's your proof, Mitch. Let them know I can do it.
I think my stats in there for about 20 minutes.
Add that to the stats, Lee. Add that to the stats.
Add that to the bloody stats. Don't tell I'm not improving, Mitch. Thank you so much, my man. Always a pleasure. Jess, will come round to you. Look, I think for Spurs, where we are at the moment, you look at where Tottenham are placed in the league, of course, in that top 5, as we say, a real opportunity to build on, of course, that win at the weekend. Forest sitting currently 16th in the Premier League after 16 games. They have, Forest, from their perspective, 3 wins, 5 draws, 8 losses. It leaves them just 14 points, just 5 points between them and the relegation zone. I'm intrigued to know from you, Jess, whether you feel Forest will play for the win, because I think with the manager out under real pressure, I think they will play for the win. I think Forest, as the home side, there'll be an expectancy for them to take the game to Tottenham. How do you feel this game will go?
It's one of those things where they've got nothing to lose anymore. They're like, right, we're hungry for it. And I feel like I watched some of the highlights from their Wolves game, and they're really trying, they're really gunning. They're almost playing a little bit, dare I say it, like us, where they're like trying to lob it over, they're trying to do those quick 1-2s. They know where each other are. I just feel like we shouldn't underestimate them. The one thing that they don't have is the end product. I feel like a lot of their shots just weren't on target. They weren't going the way they wanted. They've got some young players. I don't know. I think their final delivery wasn't good enough. So I'm hoping and praying. I feel like Vicario deserves a clean sheet. So I'm hoping Romero does his job. I hope he doesn't wipe anyone out. I think Vicario does, like I said, deserve a clean sheet. I hope that we don't let them get that early goal, because I think that's what they're going to be gunning for. And I think, I don't know, on paper it should be an easy win, shouldn't it? But we all know what Spurs is like. So I don't want to jinx us, and I feel like it is going to be a good one. And also echoing what Mitch said about, and actually I think you said as well, it being on a Friday night where people are going to come rowdy, and that's always hard at an away team. But I think I saw another stat, Lee, you can fact check for me, but I think it's like 9 out of the last 10 games we've done pretty well. Like we haven't lost away from home.
I think you're right. It's a really good away record at the moment. Yeah.
With away games,
4th best record in the Premier League. I read earlier. I think that's the one thing with Tottenham that, and again, to some degree now, has made us really hard to beat. And I think
it's really resilient. Yeah.
And that's the thing, Jess. You look at the Wolves game, for example. Spurs were nearly there. Barring that late collapse, they would have got the 3 points. I think that's the one thing this season, Jess. There's a real feeling of belief, right, amongst the players, amongst the fans. I mean, we know our away fans are the best for me, not only in the country but in the world. So again, we'll be reliant on them to see us home. Jess, I'm sure on Friday, right?
Yeah, for sure. I want another goal for Richie. I want him on that run. I want a goal for Brennan Johnson because, it's his ex-team, and obviously we want him to have one. And I feel like Sonny always deserves one. So I'm going to go 3-0.
Amazing. Jess, before we move on, it wouldn't be right for me to move on. I know you've got some really exciting news to share to the Spurs fan base, because you'll be playing in that stadium. And look, let me hand the stage to you. You're used to having the stage.
Football. Not football, by the way.
Never know. You never know. Don't never say never. Just let me hand the stage to you. Tell us what's going on with you in Tottenham at the moment.
Yeah, so this Saturday I'm going to be at the Women's North London Derby. I have my USBs at the ready. I've got my headphones and everything at the ready. The decks are going to be set up, and I'm going to be playing loads of banging tunes. I feel like the hype before a game is so important, especially in a stadium like ours. It's unbelievable. I know sometimes there's a bit of like I don't know, controversy around like the stadium being so lovely, but it is honestly iconic. Like, I just feel so privileged being in there every time. And then the fact that our team, we get to back our team playing in such an amazing place. We welcome away teams, like even Newcastle coming that far. Well, I know that trip. I used to go to uni in Newcastle, and it is so long. And just the fact that they were there, like making the most of it. I feel like the whole point is the games are an occasion in itself. You're making memories. And the women's game, I feel like I've been to a few of them, and I know our women's need the support. So especially after their last game. And I just think that everything always adds to it, and the atmosphere and the energy that people bring, like win or lose, I think you make a day of it, don't you? It's not wasted by supporting your team. So I'm absolutely gassed to be playing some tunes in somewhere as big as that. It's going to be ridiculous.
Jess,
Totally
we wish
Totally
you all the best.
I love it, mate. Well done.
We wish you all the best. Not that you're going to need it. It's just another day in the office for Jess, bless her.
Smash
Macca,
it. Come on.
we're going to close.
I mean,
you,
I've
mate.
not been in an office quite like that, but it's hopefully the first of many. So come support the North London Derby women's game this weekend. If you're around, it'd be great.
Yeah, I did see Ange put something out actually there for it to try and encourage it. So most certainly, just as you say there, get down there if you can. Big game for the ladies. Macca, going to close it with you. You're back with me for Forest on Friday. Let's hope we are discussing, of course, the 3 points. How big is this, Lee, in terms of the context of the season? Because you do feel now if Spurs can go on a run between now and Christmas, it really consolidates the fact of hopefully really going into the new year. January transfer window open. Yes, had to squeeze it in there. January transfer window open. Spurs in a good place. And I think it's really, really important that, of course, now we go on a run between now and Christmas. Everton to come at home soon. That's not going to be easy. How important is it, Lee, that Forest is a win and that we don't have a lapse back in concentration?
Yeah, for sure. It's absolutely massive. And I think we will do it. I mean, to answer Jess's question, we've only lost one away game this year in the Premier League. So we've had a few draws, but we've only lost once, which is pretty cool. We're conceding a few more goals, and that comes back to the stats I said earlier because of the team, but we've got a few players back now. When you look at the players that we've actually now missing, depending on if there's any injuries that he won't do a press conference until tomorrow, I don't think, or maybe even Thursday, but we've actually only missing Van der Ven and Maddison now. So I think that bus has sailed. I think he talked about it before, didn't he? Us coming out the other side. It felt like that against Newcastle. The form, you talk about Richie, Jess. I mean, he put an unbelievable ball in on the outside of his boot, didn't he, for Kane to score the last time we was at Forest last season, which was a brilliant assist. And their form guard's atrocious. They've lost their last four, and then they've drawn against Wolves in their last game. They've only won 2 games since September the 2nd, right? And that was against Chelsea. Only 2 games. The other game they won was against Villa, ironically, at Forest. So you don't want to go there. I know what you're saying, Friday night under lights. You don't really want to go there. But actually, for me, you do want to go there. That's the exact time you want to go there. You want to start like a crazy train, bash them up for 15 minutes, quiet the crowd, go 1-0 up, consolidate with 2-0, and the game's done. They ain't coming back from that, in my opinion. So I think when you look at the amount of goals that they're conceding as well, they conceded 3 against West Ham, they conceded 3 against Brighton, they lost at home to Everton 1-0. So there's no excuse for us not to go there and do it. They just conceded 5 against Fulham as well. That's a lot of goals they're conceding also. And now obviously us coming back into a little bit of form. So I think at the end of the day, we should be going up there full of confidence. I think that, I definitely think Brennan Johnson will score. He was one of their own. Like, he was like Kane to them. That's how big he was for them. And I think he will score. I mean, he's very unlucky not to get on the score sheet at the weekend, wasn't he? So, but I do think that we can see goals. And I think that is our biggest problem at the moment in terms of predictions. We haven't had a clean sheet. I don't think, again, you might have to check the stats book. I don't think we've had a clean sheet since Luton.
Since October.
Luton.
Yeah, Luton. Yeah.
Crazy. Think about all the other goals, You're looking at Pedro Paul, absolute fire. The bloke's on flames. He's got 5 assists now. He doesn't get an assist for that penalty. He put the through ball through for Sonny. He don't get an assist for that. And he doesn't get an assist for the Matip own goal winner against Liverpool because it's an own goal. He doesn't get an assist for that. So he's actually he's actually effectively on 7 assists, which is the same as Kieran Trippier. And everyone's saying Kieran Trippier is the best right back in the league. So, you know, Porro's up there. I think, you know, getting the boys back. Saab, Basuma needs a big game. I actually fancy, I'm going to call it. I called it the other day that Romero would score. I don't know if you picked this up in the WhatsApp.
Yeah, I did.
Because I said to crackers and whatever, I said I'm going to put I'm not a betting guy, but I'm going to put a little cheeky one on. And my mate, and I know he's watching right now, he's giving me jip for it. And my mate Steph, he's like, no, don't bother wasting your money. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. He said, no, don't bother. So I didn't bother. And Romero goes and gets the first goal. So I actually fancy Basuma to get on the score sheet against Forest. And I think we're going to have 3-1. I think 3-1. I think we'll concede.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nick? What do you think? I love getting a prediction off you. Come on. What do you want? Pragmatic football, a dodgy 1-0 win?
I think it's 2-1 Spurs. I don't think it'll be easy. I think Forest will make it difficult. I think
it won't be easy. No game's easy. No game's easy.
Can I just say, I don't say this every game. The first goal is so crucial in this game. I think if Spurs get the first goal, Forest will naturally, I think, with the fans and the way the mood is there, may become quite difficult for Forest. I think if Forest get it, will really galvanise that crowd. And look, we've seen results at the City Ground before. Don't get me started about cup games at the City Ground. You know what happened to us last season there. It is a tough place to go. I know it's a cliche saying it is tough. Spurs need the first goal, but I'm confident we'll get the job done. I think that's a great thing. We go into the weekend on the back of 3 points.
It's just it is a worry, you know, like we was at Sheffield United away and when we lost in the cup, and you do worry about them sorts of things, like going to
games.
Old school Burnley, you know, like this is by the way, this is a massive football club, Nottingham Forest. They are massive, huge football club, European champions, right? Yeah. They are a huge club, but they're an old school club in the sense of, you know, proper traditional. In the fact, like you said, Jess, if they had a few beers and the fans are getting behind them, that's quite, you know, it's going to be a raucous atmosphere. But we've been through that. We can go and beat these teams. We can go and take it to them. And I just don't think they'll be able to handle us.
Who do you both think the players to watch out for are on the opposition?
Good question, that. I mean, I think one of these out now for a while, so that would have been a player I would have really feared.
Oh, is he out? Is he?
He's out. He's out. Yeah,
I would have called him, mate.
Yeah, I think Forest-wise at the moment, you look at their squad. Now, I think it's the hard thing with Forest fans that I think they don't even know themselves.
Elanga as well.
Elanga's a good player.
Elanga's the one that I wrote down. And then there was another player, Harry Toffolo, who I was like, hang on a second, I recognise this name. And I was like, surely not. I actually went to school with him, and he was not for very long, because obviously he went and pursued his football career. But his older brother was at my school, and I was like, someone's doing well. Got his first goal last game, and he looked hungry for a second. So I don't know. I feel like, again, maybe one to watch. You know, when they get a taste for it, it's like this could happen. I don't want it to, obviously. But there we go.
Jess has now kicked off another debate because people remind us Serge Aurier is playing. But I think Aurier might be injured. I think Aurier might be injured. Gibbs White is one as well. I must add in the comments, people remind us Gibbs White, one to watch.
To be fair, Mitch did pick out. They have got some good quality players in their side. But it's just whether or not, I think it's whether or not we approach it the right way. I think the first 10-15 minutes are absolutely crucial. And given the fact that we've scored first in our last 6 matches, including away to Man City, you've got to be backing us. There's no reason to believe that we're not going to go and do that again. And I think if we do that again, then I think it's going to be very difficult for Forest, because we won't sit back. After that Newcastle game, if we go ahead, we're going to go for it. Absolutely good. For it. So
on the fact checking point that Jess mentioned, we might have to fact check. You know, a comment here from Angelo who says Marinakis and Ange were old sparring partners over backgammon at the Greek cafeterias. That may very well be true, because obviously the owner.
Angelo, I don't know if I've got. And I'm just checking this. I'm just checking this fact here.
Go to page 547 of that blue book. Go to the glossary section. Is it in there?
I really want to believe this. Actually, I quite like the idea of Ange being a backgammon fan.
The page mysteriously has been ripped out.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You know what I say? Always leave the audience wanting more. That's where we are going to close it. For the wonderful Jess, Jess, thank you so much. Love to have you back on.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been so good. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Always. Macca, thank you so much, mate. We'll see you on Friday, where hopefully we are talking about a Spurs win and back-to-back wins.
Hopefully, mate. Best of luck, Jess. You won't need it, of course, but best of luck in the stadium, mate. Absolutely.
Big love. No, anyone who's going to be there, come say hi. I want you to say hi. It'll be good.
Amazing.
Loving it, mate.
Jess,
loving it.
We'll give them a shout out. We wish you all the luck. You ain't going to need it. You're going to be amazing. Look, from myself, from Jess, from Lee, from Mitch, we have been the last word on Spurs. We will see you on Friday night for a last word on Spurs. Hopefully feast. Thriller. We'll wait to see. As always, guys, please keep safe.